Hello and good morning. Thank you for tuning in. You are tuned into Esoteric Guidance, and my name is Nehru. I want to just delve right in. Maybe someone needs to do that. Just dive in. Don't when you get into a pool, um, there are those who tiptoe in. Say they start at the steps, and then they slowly walk in. You know, and then there are those who just jump in from the pool platform, from the edge of the pool. They just dive in, right? I remember, this is bringing back to remembrance a prophecy that was told to me when I was at the Rock of Central Florida in Sanford, Florida, by at the time we addressed him as Apostle Jim Schneider. He is the senior minister at Beth Tome, and that's two words, Beththomb, Beth Tome of Rutland, Vermont. Look it up, okay? And he is or was a very good friend of the senior minister at the Rock of Central Florida, Stephen Lee Parker. And he told me in when I first met him in 2003, a couple of things that he told me. One, I always mention regularly whenever I talk about uh, me being brought before the people there, the congregation as it's religiously called, up in front of the people there. And three different people in 2003 told me how how highest divine white light Yahweh searched the earth to join me to him, and I needed to be where he was, and I need to be on the front row. And there were many things that they said to me. And one of the things that Jim said when I met him we had two services that particular day, and typically that's how it was back then when there was a guest speaker. We didn't traditionally have two services a day, which I appreciated. Because one thing that I do agree with Steve about is religion has done more to separate the church or separate the family. And religion has done more to separate the church too. I said it. I said it. Okay? Religion has done more to separate the family. The church is the spiritual family, so yeah, it's both ways. Okay? Religion has done more to separate the church, the true church. It's been 400 years since highest divine white light has been pleased with what the church looks like. It was 303. That was 303 this morning when I woke up and got the spiritual download that I'm going to share with us. Okay? um, so he told me in 2003 in the second service, when he first met me at the end of the first service. I didn't find this out until later, of course. Okay. And he shared this with everyone there. Okay. Um, he said, Kevin, he said, when I met you, he said, when I met you this morning, he said, you startled me in a way that I've never been startled before. And Jim Schneider is a big guy, right? And back then he was big. He was big and big. He was a big man, right, in weight and height. He's probably 6'4", maybe. I always thought 6'4" was like the perfect height. Unfortunately, the woman who had me is 4'11", so that killed any dream of me being 6'4" physically. Okay. um, but so he's yeah, right. He's not easily intimidated, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. And that's not to say I intimidated him, but he said, um, you you shocked me, you surprised me when I turned around and saw you in a way that I've never been shocked or surprised before. Okay. And he said, I knew that there were things about you that I wanted to talk to Steve about during our lunch. Okay. In between the evening and or morning and early evening service that we had. And he said, so I asked Steve at during our lunchtime together, I said, I asked him about you. Okay. And he told me a little bit, and I told him to stop because I knew, he said Yahweh. He said, I knew Yahweh was going to have me speak to you this evening. And he's telling me this in front of everyone in the church. In 2003, there are many people who are there right now today, including Steve's sister-in-law or brother-in-law. I guess she would be his sister-in-law too, I guess, if she's married to his brother-in-law. Their eldest children would certainly be old enough to remember. So I often mention the name Kaylee. That's their eldest daughter. She would be old enough to remember. Yeah, there's a Timothy and Elizabeth. There's an Alex. There's another Timothy. There's a lot of duplicate names at the Rock of Central Florida. And so there was even two Kevins, although the other one we called Cletus. Okay. And he's related to Steve by marriage. Okay. He's married to Steve's niece, whose name is Rebecca. But he said all of these things, and those two weren't there back then, but Sarah was, his other niece. And so there are several people who are there now who would remember this if they were being honest, okay, and truthful. And he said, so I asked him to stop talking because I knew there were things that Yahweh wanted me to share with you. And he said, again, this is one part that Yahweh searched the earth to join you to this man. Okay, he said that. He's the one who said that. Jim Schneider of Beth Tome in Vermont, and Rutland, Vermont. Okay. And he said, I saw you take a dive, a plunge. Okay. And he said, Yahweh calls this the Nesty Plunge. And I'm standing here in front of him, in front of the church. He called me up front. I'm standing there, okay? And he calls me up front, okay? And I'm standing there. At the time, I was seeing Marcia, okay, my friend who passed in on 1/28 of 2020, 2 days after, again, Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash, okay? And I call her my witness. Okay, you might have a witness in your life. Okay, 7:40 on the timer, 7 minutes and 40 seconds. That's a 74 or 47, however you see it. Okay, or however it resonates with you. It's 8:42 and 84 degrees. And so he said, I saw you take this Nesty Plunge. And he said, do you know what that is? And he asked me, he said, do you know what that is? And I said, yeah. Right? I was familiar with the commercial, the Nesty Plunge. You know, you fall back. It's called a trust exercise in psychological, psychiatrist, whatever realms, whatever that's called, right? They call that the trust exercise, where you fall back into the arms of someone who you might have a difficult time trusting. Okay? And I said, yes. I said, yes, I'm familiar with that. He said, I saw you hold out your arms. And you just fell back, and you didn't know where you were going to fall. He said, and you didn't care. He said, so I want to, at this time, I want to give you a nudge in that direction. And he kind of nudged my shoulder, right? He said, I want to give you a nudge into that, okay? And, all right? And so what I've come to realize through that is that, there are going to be many Nesty Plunges. There's many opportunities for us to do that, to let our arms out and say, highest divine white light, I don't see everything clearly, but I trust you. And just fall back into the quote unquote abyss, right? But fall back, it's not an abyss. You will land, and you will land safely if you trust, right? And are faithful. And so he did that, right? And so that's what I've realized over the 20 years that I was there, okay, is that there were many Nesty Plunges. As I continue to be awakened, continue to, and even since I've left there, I left there in September of 2020, so 9/22, so September of 2022 is when I left there. I became aware of them in 2002, okay, energetically, etherically, okay, spiritually. And so that's for some of us, okay? It is time to take whatever that nesty plunge is for you, okay? And again, this will happen over and over and over again, okay? Also, one of the other things that were told to me by Steve's wife, whose name is Kimberly. Again, I only mention names not to put them on blast, but for resonating purposes, okay? All right? So, well, sometimes it's to put them on blast, okay? The enemy needs to be exposed, okay? And I had a tremendous meditation that was an hour, and I think on the video I said an hour and 29 minutes, but it was an hour and 29 seconds. Okay? All right. And so, again, for those of you who are newer subscribers, I was birthed on 11/29. Okay? That's the 333rd day of the year. And so Kimberly told me when I got there, after sharing my journey, or at least the part that I was aware of in regards to Kevin, okay? In 2003, I shared this with her and Steve, that part of the journey with her and Steve, about how he took my first wife and daughter and witchcraft and all that sort of thing. I told them about that part, okay? There was much to learn in that 20 years. There was much more to learn in that 20 years, okay? And I'm really trying to be cognizant of my ums. That has been a bad habit, a bad speaking habit since I was a kid. I remember in school when I would do little speeches and all that sort of thing. I would say it all the time, and I would lose points on things for when I would say too many ums from the teacher. So, teacher, but I'm trying to be more cognizant of that. And she said, everything that was forfeited, everything that he forfeited is coming to you. She told me that in 2003. The woman whose husband has forsaken me. Okay? Again, all things work for my good, right? Life is happening for us, not to us. Okay? So I take that denial that he had of me, okay, once sent to him. It was 13 minutes exactly on the timer. He was born on the 26th. That's 1313. Okay? He was born on 11/26. And so when I look at that situation, I believe Kim was born on 4/2, which is also a 6. I believe she was born on 4/2. Okay. And so I don't know what birth is that a Pisces? I don't know. And so and that makes sense because that would make sense if she is, because that's water, fire and water, right? That would make sense. Okay. Again, you don't have to be those signs in order to be fire and water, but it's a capitalization on that energy. Okay. So I said, okay, everything that he forfeited is coming to me. This is 2003. This is 21 years ago. Okay. I'm like, okay, great. Right. And I was looking forward to whatever he had forfeited. I was looking forward to it all coming to me. What I did not know is that, and this is for you too, what I did not know is that I had to go through what he was avoiding in order to receive what he had forfeited. Say it again. I had to go through what he avoided in order for me to receive what he had forfeited. Okay? So, I had to deal with all of the spiritual battles on top of my own from my previous karmic lives or karmic choices in previous lives, uh, and also this life. Okay, I've made karmic choices. Okay, I went back to dating someone, and this is 20 years ago. But I went back to dating someone who I knew was not good for me. Okay, but it was during my sabbatical, my year and a half sabbatical between 2005 and 2007. Okay, I was frustrated. I had gotten out of the military. I was I really thought when I was in the military that I was going to be. I told my command sergeant major when he was trying to talk me into re-enlisting for a third time. Yeah, for a third time. Um, he was like, Sergeant Thomas, what are you gonna do when you get out? What are you gonna do? And I was like, honestly, I said I'm gonna go to seminary school, and my religious thoughts. That's what I thought. That's what I told him. My command sergeant major at Fort Stewart, third ID baby, Fort Stewart in Georgia, in Hinesville, Georgia. He told me, okay, well, I can't. That's the route you think you need to go. Okay. Unlike Michael Jordan's brother, so when I came up for my first enlistment, my first sergeant was Michael Jordan's eldest brother. His name is James Jordan Jr. If you don't believe me, look it up. He's a retired command sergeant major of 35th Signal Brigade in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He was my first sergeant in 1995 when I got there. They were still going through the trial of their father being unalived, kidnapped and unalived. Okay? In my own personal opinion, that has something to do with Michael and his gambling. That's my own personal opinion. That may not be true, or that may not be the opinion of others, but in my own esoteric wisdom, that's what I see. Okay? So they were still going through that trial. And in fact, for a long time, I kept a Jet magazine for many years, and they were on the cover of it. Their family were on the cover of it. Okay? Dolores, Larry, Michael, James, all of them were on the cover. Their sisters, I don't remember their sister's name. Denise, I don't remember Michael Jordan's sister's name. But anyway, they were all on the cover, and I kept this magazine for a long time. He told me, when I was coming up for my first enlistment, he said, and he was speaking in racist terms, so he was saying that, there's nothing out here, there's nothing in the civilian world for a black man, is what he told me. Okay, and again, this is my first sergeant. Okay, Michael Jordan's oldest brother. Okay, he told me there's nothing in the civilian world for a black man, which is a very interesting perspective. I guess he was just doing his job to keep his recruitment up. I don't know what he was, of his company or the battalion, whatever, right? And I always thought that was ignorant to say, foolish to say, and manipulative. Okay. First of all, no one's black. Okay. And if you don't believe me, then you just check the color spectrum. If you go to Sherman-Williams and say, I would like a can of black paint and a can of brown paint, and I want you to tell me if they send you the same two colors. If they send you two cans of one color and black, tell me. Okay? So no one's black. Everyone's a shade of brown. No one's white. Everyone's a shade of brown. So that was very racist of him to say. And again, he had his own karmic ass ways for saying that, or reasons. Okay? But I remember when Kim told me that, and I thought, wow, I thought it was going to be like, okay, I don't have to work, whatever, okay, what, all right, I just wait on the gifts, I just wait on the prosperity, I just wait on whatever he forfeited, whatever that is. That was my thoughts. Those were my thoughts. But what I did not realize, again, is that I had to go through what he forfeited. So, for us who resonate with this timeline, confirmation, you have to go through whatever it is that your ancestors avoided. And this is how you cure and heal your karmic bloodline. This is how. Okay? There's no way around it. There's no other way around it. Okay? They tried to beat the system, the spiritual system, spiritual process, spiritual laws, spiritual principles. They tried to beat the system. Okay? But there's no beating this system. You can beat man's system. Okay? You can beat man's system. They say the only guarantee is death and taxes. Well, if you set up trust properly, as an example, right? Family trust, dynasty trust, revocable trust, irrevocable trust. You can set these things up with certain riders and things to where you don't pay many taxes. How do you think the Rothschilds and how do you think these families, right, who have generational wealth, this is how they protect their wealth. It's through trust. Okay? You take your name directly off of it, and that way the leeches don't have anything to grab onto because they can't find anything attached to your name. Okay? So death and taxes are not the only guarantee, and you can become immortal. Okay? Let me turn the air conditioning on because it's getting hot. That's the reason, again, why I have my shirt off in this RV. Okay? And I'm dealing with a leak that started the other day from this air conditioner. Okay? So you might have heard drops in the background. I don't know if the mic was strong enough to pick that up. But, yeah. So a seal is broken. Revelation. So a seal is broken. So a seal is broken, just like the book of Revelation. So a seal is broken. Okay? And something's being leaked. So don't try to avoid what your parents avoided. Okay? The reason why I had to be birthed into this family, and again, if you are an ascended master here in the 3D, okay? If you are a master builder, earth angel, okay? We are birthed into families to heal karmic bloodlines, okay? That's why we're birthed into families, okay? And so, again, since the beginning of man, this is my 10th time here on this planet, in this form, okay? Not always a male, but in this form, okay? You've not always been a female or a male, whatever you happen to be in this lifetime, okay? You have been back and forth, right? Because that is how you get the complete ethereal awakening. That's what I'm hearing. That's how you get the complete ethereal awakening. Is you come here, you have to have a male's perspective and a female's perspective in different lifetimes, how they're treated, different nationalities and different races. Again, this is why racism is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever witnessed that is widespread, okay? There are brown Germans, there are Caucasian Germans. That is the dumbest thing ever, okay? But when you say German, people think of the Caucasian German. I've met brown Germans when I was in Germany for 2 years, okay? They exist, all right? And so, if you were to be just one race and just the same gender every lifetime, you would have a very narrow way of thinking, a very, very narrow way of thinking. You would only think in the ways based on the female gender, or you would only think in the ways based on the male gender, okay? But that's not complete ethereal awakening, okay? And so what I did not realize is that I had to conquer all the demons that he allowed to take his soul. And again, I'm reminded of the dream I had when several of us, the women and I, and two of my siblings, one representing the first male birthed into that polygamous situation, and the first female birthed into that polygamous situation. Those siblings, the male's name is David and the female's name is Jacqueline. Jacqueline is the sister that went to her teacher in 2010 and told her that this pedophile was messing with her. Okay, she was the one who broke the seal. I'm pointing to the air conditioning in the ceiling. She's the one who broke that seal in 2010. All right, she's always been a little rebellious, you know. And unfortunately, I don't know how she's doing today. I hope she's doing well and realigned with her higher self. Okay, but in her young adult years, Jackie was we call her Jackie, Jax. She was using sex as a weapon because of what her childhood had the karmic bruising that had happened through her childhood. Okay, she, again, on Facebook and everything is showing her ass and all, just yeah. Okay, so all the things that Berlin, and that's the sperm donor's father. I don't know why that took me so long. That's the sperm donor's father. Okay, he also has a brother whose name is Berlin, who was supposedly unalived in 1974, 9 months before I was. Check it. 9 months before I was birthed. Okay. Supposedly by some guy in Joliet, Illinois, because he was hitting on this guy's girlfriend at a bar. He was in the Air Force. Berlin was. Okay, maybe there's something about the Air Force or the military. I served 8 years in the military, Army. And so Berlin, his father, Berlin, avoided something at some point in his life where I had to be birthed into this family to heal their karmic bloodline. Okay? Again, he's also the one who taught Kevin witchcraft. Okay? He's also that same person. Okay? And so, yes, I had to go through and defeat and conquer the demons that both of them, and who knows whoever else throughout the generations down, going back in history, okay, that they avoided. Okay? This is how you heal bloodlines. This is how you do it, people. Okay? So during my 1 hour and 29-second meditation, it was intense. I, in the Sanhedrin Council, was bringing judgment against the enemy, whoever the enemy is. One of the things that I try to be cognizant of today is that when I see someone who comes against me, I do not see them as Michael, John, Susan, Jennifer, Michelle. I do not see them as that. I see them as someone that the demonic spirit, they allow to take over them. Okay? So, it's not wisdom to come against the person, which is the way that I started out my spiritual awakening. Okay? Again, as a spiritual warrior and spiritual assassin, that's what I do. Jason Statham in the spiritual realm. Okay? That's what I do. Okay? I'm a justice fighter, justice advocate spiritually. Okay? That is my spirit nature. Okay? And so I had to learn not to come against Ralph. Okay? By the way, the TV show The Greatest American Hero was brought back to me yesterday. The song first, and then when I got back in from my walk on the afternoon, I took a look at a couple of the shows, and it just reminded me, I watched the pilot, Okay, the gentleman's name who stars in that show as the greatest American hero. He's a teacher, high school teacher, but his name is William Catt. He's still physically with us today. I believe he's 73. Okay, William Catt, K-A-T-T. Okay, and so the song, or the theme song goes, or at least part of it goes, I'm not going to remember all of it. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Is it flying away on a wing and a prayer? Ooh, it's me. Believe it or not, it's just me. Right? So, for many of us, we see ourselves as just being us. I've always seen myself, it's me. I'm just me in my unconditionally loving self. It's just me, even when I made karmic choices. Okay, it's just me. It's just me, right? I was more aware of probably karmic choices than I was of high vibrational choices. Okay, because in high vibrational choices, I just saw that as just me being me. Karmic choices, I was like, yep, I shouldn't do that. Yep, I shouldn't do this, but I'm whatever, right? Like going back to that person and dating them for the second time, right? That was disastrous. And so throughout this life, as we ebb and flow with the ins and outs of what we allow in, what we don't, okay? It was 31:52 on the timer. Yeah, okay. So, in judging the demons through my meditation last night, it was a Kundalini meditation, by the way, for those of you who want to know what type of meditation it was. It was a Kundalini healing meditation, okay? And I often do Kundalini meditations, although I don't mention it specifically on the platform. Most often, I do more Kundalini meditations than I do any other meditation, okay? I do some pineal gland binary beat meditations on a regular basis as well, but by far and large, the majority of them are Kundalini awakening meditations. Okay. And during the spiritual judgment of the karmic energy of the Luciferians, okay, of the Watchers. I'll say I spoke to the Watchers during that meditation. Spoke to the Nephilim, okay. Spoke to the fallen Anunnaki. I called them out by name, okay, in my meditation. I got sea urchin, and whenever I get a name of an animal, I always go to the spiritual first. Okay, there's someone who I was connected with for 20 years. You know who they are. Confirmation bird. Who says first the natural, then the spiritual? No, first the spiritual, then the natural. Okay? If you don't open up your third eye and your crown chakra, okay, and you don't clear out all your other chakras, if you don't do that, nothing for you happens as it's written in the 3D. First the spiritual, then the natural. Okay? That's how it was in the beginning. First the spiritual, then the natural. Okay? Highest divine white light and you and I existed, again, ethereally, esoterically, long before there was ever an Earth or any other planet that we've existed on. And yes, we have. Okay? Long before any extraterrestrials were on a different planet. What we call extraterrestrial. They call us extraterrestrial, probably, in this form. Okay? Extraterrestrial just simply means to me different than you are. That's all that means. Okay? So, when I heard sea urchin, I immediately thought, when I got done with the meditation, spiritual sea urchin. Okay? So we're going to find out what it means to be a spiritual sea urchin. Okay? Give me just one moment.
Spiritual wake-up call.
Okay, sorry about that. So let me go ahead and ask Alexa again what a spiritual... Cancel. She picked that up. What a spiritual sea urchin is. Or urchin. It's not urchin. It's urchin. Okay? Alexa, what is a Japanese spiritual sea urchin?
From spiritoffsapphire.co.uk. In Japanese folklore, sea urchins are known as yuni and are considered a symbol of good fortune and longevity.
Okay. So that was the download that I got in the middle or towards the end of my meditation. That meditation started at 3:03 this morning. Okay. So it's Japanese. Its name is Yuni, and it represents longevity and good fortune. Okay. And again, that's for not just for those of us who are currently in position to receive that, but it's also for generations to come. And for those of you who are in this lifetime right now, making your way through your awakenings, okay, or through your dark night of the soul, let's say, okay? This is what awaits you should you stay the course, okay? This is what awaits you, okay? And this is only, again, one of many promises. So I have been, and this is just clarification, I have been many things. I've been told I am many things. So seahorse, porcupine, and now a sea urchin are three physical animals that are here on the in the 3D that I have been told that I was. Okay, I was told I was or did I say porcupine? No, not porcupine. I guess that might be true too. I don't know. What? I can't think. Why can't I think of the bird? Oh, I can't think of the word. The bird. Wow, that is a huge blank that I'm drawing. So anyway, I was told this something in 2003. There's something about 2003, or maybe 5 for you, okay? So I was told this in 2003 that there was a butterfly that just flew across the window. Wow, why am I drawing a blank on this? This is bizarre. So this bird, very pretty bird, okay, the male bird of the species is the one that has the pretty feathers that flare out, okay, at various times when they're making, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on this, when they're making, I don't know if that's a mating call, or I don't know what they're doing when they flare out their feathers. Wow, why am I drawing a complete blank on this? Probably because I'm still in the ethereal. I'm not here. Right? But whatever that bird is, wow, I'm drawing a complete blank. And I just saw Alexa. I'm embarrassed to even have to ask this question. Alexa, what is the bird that flares its feathers?
From answers.com. The male peacock flares out its feathers when it is trying to get the female's attention.
Alexa, stop. Peacock. Why couldn't I think of that? Why couldn't I think of that, right? So in 2003, I was told that I am a peacock. Okay? And then through awakenings again, seahorse animal, I was told or shown. And now this sea urchin. Again, it's not just for me. It's not just for me. I created this channel, this platform, as guided, to help us ascend. Not just me. I could ascend by myself without a platform, and I have been. Okay? This platform was created on 6/11 of 23. Yes, 6/11 of 23. Okay? All right? I have been ascending long before YouTube ever existed. Okay? I've been on the spiritual journey for eons. Okay? So has you. So have you. So has you. So have you. Okay? So, understand your Nesty Plunge must take place. And that Nesty Plunge could look like anything. I said pledge. Okay? Nesty Pledge. Okay? What do you pledge allegiance to? Okay? I state your full name. Do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, right? That's part of being sworn in when you are a soldier, right? When you are going into the military or enlisting or re-enlisting, okay? Right? That's the soldiers. Yeah, you get sworn in. I, Nehru, do solemnly swear to uphold the spiritual constitution and laws and principles of highest divine white light. So help me, God. Okay? So, it's up to us what we do with what we've been given. Whether that's $2, again, I'm going back to the parables, okay, of the talents. If you have 2 talents, 1 talent, and those talents represent many different things. Those could be spiritual gifts, okay? Empaths, we're going through what's your aura, right? So we empaths, healers, again, ascended masters, master builders, light workers, star seeds, whatever your talents happen to be, you've been given a certain amount of them. What are you going to do with what you've been given? Don't look at your neighbor and wonder why they got this or why they were born into that family and why you weren't born into that. No, okay? You're gonna fail. In fact, you're failing if you're asking that question, okay? So, understand what you were birthed here to do is what I just heard. Understand what you were birthed here to do. Okay, again, the lowest vibration you could ever be in is a good education. Nothing wrong with a good education. In some cases, it's necessary. Okay, if you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor, you want to, have certain things that require certain degrees, certain licenses, and things like that, you have to go through that process if that's your divine road. Okay, not because mom and dad said it. Okay, not because a teacher told you about it and it doesn't resonate with you, but they keep pushing you to do it because that's where the good money is. Okay, but whatever you are divinely sent here to do. Okay, again, the lowest vibration you could be in is a good education, white picket fence, a husband or a wife, 2.5 kids, and a dog. That is the lowest vibration you could ever be in. Okay, the lowest. So, we're all divinely guided if we are willing to open up our eye. That's singular, not plural. We are all divinely guided, but in order to see it, we must open up our eye. Okay? All right. So thank you so much again for being a part of the channel and what Highest Divine White Light is doing here. And just know that you are here on divine purpose. Just understand that. You are here on divine purpose. Don't forsake your duties, spiritual soldier. Don't forsake your duties. Okay? So, I will be sharing today, I didn't share yesterday, I will be sharing today how do we go about protecting our divine unions. Okay, whether you are in that divine union with your divine masculine or divine feminine, whichever you are not. Okay, and let me say this, none of what I say in regards to divine unions has to do with the same-sex relationship. None of it, and none of it applies. Okay? None of it. Do not ever for a second think, I don't care what their wealth looks like in the natural. Candace Parker licks clits. Okay? I don't care whose. Okay? Queen Latifah licks clits. I don't care whose. Lady Gaga licks clits. I don't care whose. Those are not divine unions. Okay? Will Smith sucks dicks. That is not a divine union. I'm not talking about same-sex relationships here. Okay? Quincy Jones, Sean Combs. I'm not talking about same-sex relationships here. Okay? Again, I don't care what their natural prosperity is. Okay? All right? So I will be speaking about how do you protect your divine union. Okay? The one that's written in the Akashic Records. Trust me, there are no homosexual relationships or lesbian relationships written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Trust me. Okay? And I have nothing against the people. Again, I don't see it as them. I see it as the demonic Sodom and Gomorrah harlot energy that has taken over them, that they've allowed in, and now they nurture that. Okay? So, stay tuned for that. Thank you so much again for being a part of the channel. My name is Nehru. This is Esoteric Guidance, here to help us all become our highest, purest, truest version of ourselves. Thank you so much, and as always, be encouraged. It's 9:22 on the clock, 46:29 on the timer, and 86 degrees in southern Arizona. Thank you so much, and be encouraged.